Hey, honey, stay. This is Toksa Hour. I am Maggie Ross. I'm live from Porcupine, South Dakota, along the Porcupine Creek where the porcupines roam. Hey, I'm late and I'm sorry. I apologize. One, coffee wasn't ready. Two, everything needed to be charged. Three, I had a late start. Anyways, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're joining me. I wanted to just do a little bit on Friday, I went to Rapid. I had to take my mom for her appointments, and we thought we would stop at um, Boys and Girls Club. So I'm doing a Boys and Girls Club, Boys and Girls Club promo pay for free. But look what I got. I don't know if you're going to be able to see them. That, that, with the price tag, that a set of three. It said a set of three was $12. And at the Boys and Girls Club right now, everything that is fall and Halloween is 75% off. Look at this. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? And this was $5. That's at the Boys and Girls Club. I got a ton of stuff, a ton of stuff. And I spent, after all the 75% came off, I spent $18 at the Boys and Girls Club. Mhm. And if you didn't know, on Wednesdays from 9 to 12 or 8 to 12, whenever they open, to 12, 50% off. Saturdays too, 50% off. I used to be lucky enough to get there early on Saturday mornings and do that. But I think hard times are here. And the secondhand places are much more full. I used to like to make a day of it. I used to like to make a day of secondhand shopping. Um, I would like to um just do that because there's so many and you save so much money. What do they say? Somebody's what's the saying? Yesterday's garbage or trash is somebody's today's treasure or something like that. Anyways, that seems to be true. They have such nice things there. So the economy is really like having a hard time right now, and we're struggling in our economy. And so people, there's going to be a boycott happening. I don't know if you know this, but I think it's in November. Let me see if I could pull it up. But yeah, there's a boycott happening. And this is like a big boycott. November boycott. Okay, so wait, now we'll see if this is the right one. This looks to be, this is a past one. Um, Anyways, there is a boycott. being scheduled, and this is like like everybody has to be in on the boycott. Everybody needs to be in on the boycott. Yeah. And the really horrible thing about it is like I'm doing a internet search for it and it's not telling me. I think I just have to go into my TikTok so I could tell you because I mean even this YouTube, like all of our media is like owned by people that are funding this genocide. And that's just horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Okay, so it says, find the, oh my God, I like too many things. I do this thing on TikTok where anybody that's in my For You that I follow, I like and I do this whole thing. Okay, so here we have, so it says, we are not asking, we're shutting it down. Mass blackout. November 25th to December 2nd. November 25th to December 2nd. The largest economic blackout protest in US history begins November 25th. No work, no spending, no restaurants, no projects, no events, no restaurants. Keep emphasizing, stay home and eat, people. No backing out. Prepare for the impact. To prevent spike spending before and after the blackout, we ask that all participants purchase goods needed from community-owned stores and markets leading up to and after the dates. This helps with sustained impact and keeps our money out of the mega businesses' pockets. Coordinated national pushback, maximum local impact. So again, that's a mass blackout, November 25th to December 2nd. No work, no spending, no restaurants, no projects, no events. And so that is what they are doing. And that is what they are pushing. I muted that, and so it's my computer now is saying turn up the volume because it thinks I was trying to play that. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's happening on November. So this is like a coordinated effort. Like if you know that these things are happening, the ways that you limit your spending. A lot of people have moved to like secondhand shopping for things, whatever they may need. And then groceries, they move to like a local family operated or whatever place. So just to know that that's what they do. Oh, my coffee tastes super great this morning. Super great. So what are the ways in which we can go and support things such as boycotting or even just having more say and control in our life? What are the things that we can do? Um, so there's this thing that has happened to the American culture. Prob I'm not exactly sure when it started. I guess I could have done some better research about it. But we became a consumer culture, and a consumer culture, what we do is we just want to purchase. So I remember even when I was growing up, and I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, that things that were bought you could fix. TV, there used to be TV repair people. There used to be vacuum repair people. There used to be, things that you can take your microwave in and get your microwave repaired. That they could fix things, your refrigerator, washer and dryer. Well, now they make everything so cheap that to repair it costs more than just buying a new one. And so then we just go and buy a new one. And so the economy then likes that. So that's why we end up in China. That's why we end up in India. That's why we end up in Malaysia. That's why we end up in Taiwan and everywhere else because they have cheaper labor. Now China just took off and like their economy's they're smoking us in their economy. But because we became consumer only society and like we're a garbage trash society because we throw everything away because you could just buy it again, and so that's what we do. So when we go and we continue to feed that, it grows and grows. And look at the situation we're in. This consumer culture has pretty much devastated us. Because look at the tariffs, all the tariffs. And so now we are paying the consequence of being a consumer culture because we are now paying for the tariffs. That's the consequence because we allowed the billionaires to send all our money or send all the money overseas, our tax dollars going overseas to pay for economy building infrastructure. We had a great part of building China's infrastructure. I mean, they built it, their ideas, but we gave the money because we needed this infrastructure to build. So we needed their cheap labor and we needed them their products to be here. And then we end up just buying. And so we don't take care of anything because we know there'll be like Black Friday is coming up. Black Friday. And this is the new scam of Black Friday is they you start to see the increase of prices through October, November, prices are going up. And then on Black Friday, they drop the prices to where they used to be prior to their increase. And so it becomes a scam. But we have bought into Black Friday because we're a consumer culture and we bought into all these holidays and that we have to do all this, we have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on gifts. And then our children start to expect thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in gifts. Back when, clothing you would get for Christmas maybe and you appreciated it. Now it's like, no, I didn't get the $5,000 whatever, or I didn't. And so people would go out and they would Black Friday shop because some of those items would be out there at, minimal cost. And so everybody would go and fight over things. And so that's what we've become, people. We've become this consumer culture. Community, what is a community? If or before consumer culture, we were probably more of a community culture Because with consumer culture comes the big box stores, right? That's where we get Walmart, Target, all of these things. Um, all of these dollar stores. Consumer culture brought those, trying to give us an imaginary thought of a less price. I actually even remember I used to like to go to Family Dollar because they were reasonable. In a small community store place, they had reasonable prices because like here in Porcupine, you could go down to the local store and say, I have this sitting right here at my table. Say you needed some vegetable oil. So you'd go down to the you'd go down to the gas station or the community store, and that little thing 20 years ago would be about $5. Now it's probably still $5. I don't, because we don't have a community store. We have Common Sense. And Common Sense, you're gonna go down and you're gonna probably pay around $3, $4. But if you go to Rapid City, the prices are gonna vary. If you go to a Walmart, you're going to pay maybe $2 the most for something that size. So there's this thing that happens is in the markup of things. So we want to make a profit. And America thrived on mom and pop stores. And mom and pops would, they would yes, you buy things, you have to factor in shipping and then all like your utilities of things. And then they would put their markup on it so they could have a profit. Maybe it's 30%. Maybe it's 30% profit. Maybe it's 10%. But you'd put your profit markup on there. And so what Walmart's and Family Dollars did is they brought in and we end up closing out our mom and pop stores because they're a chain store, and they're able to have lower prices, be consistent across. And so then they're able to undersell. But now even that, the Family Dollars are struggling. So I think they say, I can't remember if it's Family Dollar or Dollar General, they're going to be shuttering some of their stores because it's the other thing about what we're doing or what is happening in this consumer world that we live in is that we have these investment banking. So we go out. So we go out and we might find somebody that has money. And there's a certain so our investors then they go out and they market. So we as community we have to market first. We go out and say we want to build a Family Dollar. We want to build a Family Dollar. So they go out and they do the investment for it. So they go out and so there's different things that you do, and that you'll go out and you do. So you'll survey your community, you'll look at And this is something I know because I was doing this. I was doing this because I wanted to open, when I lived up in Red Shirt Table, I wanted to open up like a gas station slash, like a small grocery. Just because our community doesn't have anything there. And so I wanted to do that in Red Shirt. I wanted to create a small business there. And so at the time, Bob Clifford was alive, and he was running Black Hills People's News. And so then he came out and he told me what I needed to do. And so he said, you have to, you have to like go and watch the traffic, how much traffic comes through here, and you have to do it for a week. So how much comes through each day, and then mark that, and then so I did that. I sat out and I watched traffic from different times of the day. So I went out from like I think it was like 7 o'clock in the morning to noon. I watched traffic every day. And then the next time I went out, I did it from like noon to 5. No, it was 4, noon to 4. And then I did 4 to 8. And I did that. It took me about a month to like do that consistent, sit and mark and keep. So I was putting together my proposal, like this is how much traffic we have, this is what. So then like what could we have? So then I also had to go and find land, like, so there was a place there was some tribal land um that was located up there that I could do a lease agreement for. So there's all these different things that you do. But in one of them, also in my research, I had to, and this even ties back prior to me living in Red Shirt, we wanted to do something similar here in Porcupine, down at Oblaya store, because Oblaya store sold out, and then it was just there. So we wanted to try to do something see if we could purchase the property and then redo. So then at that time, Bob Clifford again helping, saying this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. And we did that one. And we put it together. And we gave it to the empowerment zone, who then said, if the community doesn't support, this is what the empowerment zone said, if the community members or the community board does not come up with the proposal, we will give the money to you guys in the empowerment to purchase the property and to open this store. So we were kind of glad to hear that. But then what the empowerment zone did was gave our proposal to the Porcupine Community Empowerment Zone people, and they took our idea, our plan, and they used it themselves and opened that. They bought Oblaya store, and then they opened it themselves as the People's Market, and then it was embezzled. So then they shut it down. And it was a nice thing, like I enjoyed going there, but it didn't last because that's just how it went. Anyway, so that's the stuff that you have to do when your community has very low minimal economic development, is you have to do all the surveying and studying and stuff. So that's what moms and pops do. They do the legwork and all of that, and they put it together, and they'll get the business, and then they'll open the business, and then either a competitor has to come along and figure out a way to take from the mom and pop. And that's what Family Dollars did. That's what Walmart's did. They came in, big box store, shiny bright stuff, big brand new buildings or whatever, and they take away from mom and pop stores. And so then you get small business closure, and then this is how we get into the billionaire class. Everything's going somewhere, people. You guys are probably like, what is she talking about? Why are we talking about this? So when we think about that, then, oh, excuse me. So when we think about where or how our demise of our economy, our consumer culture, it has to do with that, is that we ended up being penny shoppers. We want the biggest bang for our buck. And so we then, okay, well, I can get this made in China thing for 30 cents, but if that was made in the United States, that might be 80 cents. You know what I'm saying? So we are our own worst enemy. We are selling ourselves out. We are our demise because the billionaire class has taken control of us. And good morning, Raymond. It isn't just United States. So everybody is feeling this. Raymond watches all the way from the UK. So good morning from the UK. I don't know, is it morning over there? Is it afternoon? What is your time? But so we know that the billionaire class is taking over everything, everything. And so we are now suffering the consequences of that. They didn't want to pay the American worker. They didn't, because we put regulations into place. You can't make children work. You're not supposed to have slavery anymore. We have OSHA. We have all these different things that are supposed to protect the worker. And because of that, employers then have to, oh, no, we have minimum wage and things. And so they don't want to do that. So the punishment to us is they go overseas. They took all their money overseas, and that now they control these other governments based off of their billionaire dollars that we gave them. Like most billionaires, they get their start from governments, getting government contracts, and then that leads to more contracts, and then they get to buy. So this is how the billionaire class is working. It isn't mom and pop who pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It's not mom and pop. No, it's the billionaire class. So they see mom and pop's store over there, and either they want to shut them down or they want to take their business. And so sometimes what they might do is they might put them into a loan agreement. You need to improve your wiring. You need to improve something, improvement loan. So then they're going to go and ask the billionaire banker people, can I borrow money to fix this? And so then they borrow money. And sometimes, because we run by a credit rating system, their credit may not be 100%. So they may not be a 7 or 8. Maybe they're struggling, and they've been struggling, but they've been able to maintain their business all these years. And so then they get a high interest rate loan, and maybe the banks don't even loan it because the banks are saying, that's too risky. That's a risky loan. We're not going to do it. And so then we go outside and they look for a different lender. So then they may end up in like subprime types of lending. Excuse me, I'm trying to hold back a sneeze. I'm trying to hold this off. I'm trying to hold off my sneeze. So anyway, so what they'll do is go to like maybe what do they call them? They're like outside. outside of banks. They're kind of like subprime loans where people just create these lending programs, and then you go borrow from them, and then their interest rate is super, super high, and you're in need. So then you go and you make the loan. And then what they do sometimes too is they'll go up and they'll say, we will become a part of your we'll buy into your company. Well, and say maybe you're a mom and pop and everything is okay. And you're not making the biggest gains and stuff, but you're doing okay. And this company comes along and buys into your business. And then they tell you that we want you to make these upgrades, and we can make these upgrades by just making this loan here. And then they get in trouble. So then a lot of the loans, it's in that subprime lending thing where maybe your interest rate is going up. And so when you started out, maybe you were paying $1,000 a month on that loan, which was feasible. And then because it goes, sometimes month by month or year by year, your loan rate can fluctuate. And maybe now it jumped up to $5,000 a month. And so then small businesses get affected, and then they start getting they shut their doors. And so that lending agency then takes your property. Some people call this like a real estate heist, that the billionaire class has created these subpar lending companies that go in and they go after successful small business. They buy into them and they're interested. So this is the classic example for that is Joann's. Joann's was very successful, but they got tied in to an equity organization, and then they caused them to lose their real estate. And this is also affecting, like in Chicago. They did this in Chicago. There was an apartment complex. This lady owned this apartment complex, and there was no immigrants. No illegal immigrants living there. They were all Americans, and they were just lower class American. Poor like us. They didn't, anyway, so she foreclosed. They foreclosed her loan, and they needed those people out. So they made an arrangement between ICE, the local PD, and there was another one tied into that. This was in the news like last 2 weeks ago. And then they went in there like they were doing an ICE raid and arrested everybody there. And then in the short time that they they went to jail or had to be detained, they then moved everything out. So then they just moved everything out. All their stuff. That's how they took possession of that apartment building. And so we have those types of things going on because of this situation of being a consumer culture, that the billionaire class is taking advantage of us. And how do we fight back? Well, we fight back by protesting. And I don't know, as Americans, I know we're really scared about it because I might lose my job, or we have our own, because we've bought into it too. We've made those loans. We've done those things too. So it could mean my house, my car, my whatever, so doing those things. And so how do we take charge of it? And this is like where they're seeing, like in Italy, went to the docks and they protested and they boycotted and they shut their whole country down. They shut their whole country down and everybody absolutely refused to go to work. They boycotted and I don't know, I think they're still raising cane over there. Um in I think it's South Korea. I may be wrong, but they found out like what their elite was doing, their elected people were doing, and they went over there and they just raised Cain with their government and they removed them. You know, it's like but as Americans, we're very afraid. We're very afraid to take control of our own lives. Just stay home. Stay home. Sometimes they say, you know, like you have to go to work or whatever. Um, so you go to work. But then they say if you go to work, then don't buy anything. Don't put gas in, don't buy gas, don't but then it's gonna be hard because this is November 25th to December 2nd. So you know it is. It's really staying home. And if you want to avoid any thing you'd like one I shop at Walmart, but now I'm like starting again to look at, well, where can I go? Sometimes Walmart will be the only place I can find something I'm looking for. So I go buy it there. And then some of the business people say, please don't boycott Walmart. I barely got my item on their shelves. And so they're selling my stuff now, you know? So it's really, like we all just have to make up our minds or do something, however we're going to do it. But it's got to be a lesson. It's got to be a lesson to the billionaire class because they're the ones that are taking advantage of us. I try to talk to my kids, and this is another thing we can all be doing is talking and educating our children, our family, like why even your closest friends or whatever, what's happening. Um, my grandkids know, my son, they know, we don't eat at McDonald's and we will not probably return to McDonald's even after all of this. We don't do Starbucks. My granddaughter will tease me about it, um, about going to Starbucks or whatever. But I'm really big on the no thanks app. If I can find something comparable, or if I can find another product that's selling that same thing, then that's what I do. I do extra virgin olive oil in the mornings, and so the brand that I like um is sold at Family Fare. Is Family Fare a mom and pop's business? I don't know. It used to be what was it? Family Thrift. And then it became Family Fare. But that's where I used to shop before Walmart because then Walmart, like I'm saying, Walmart offers cheaper prices. So that's why I just start going over there. But I started returning to Family Fare to try to buy my things. And I'll give this other plug about Family Fare because we don't do Kentucky Fried Chicken either. Because KFC is about genocide. So we go to the deli at Family Fare and it's cheaper and better. Like their fried chicken is better, their mashed potatoes and gravy is better. Yeah, it's better. Even their bread, like they do I always get the cornbread and it's really good. So that's what we do. We go there now. And so a bucket of 16, for a family of 16 is usually like $50 at KFC. But when I go to Family Fare, it's like $35 and it comes out to like 38 with tax. Saving money and it's better. So that's what I've been doing. And then I've also just tried to find like something different. And then now I do I try to go secondhand shopping. I used to be a big yard seller, but times are tough for me. I'm overbooked on things. So my Saturday mornings are now teaching, and Sunday mornings I'm doing Toksa Hour. So it is what it is, I guess. If I got into the whole do the recording and then put it up on Sunday, I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet either. But it is what it is, and I don't mind it. I also like can, but my garden the past 3 years has really been boo. It's been a disappointment. The hail took me out this year. The year before it was the cucumber beetles. Oh my God. And I was just gone. I just went for like 4 or 5 days. I thought it would be okay. Boy, my everything was looking beautiful. And they just did me in. So cucumber beetles did me in last year. And then the year before, um, it was just the heat. Like no matter what I tried to do, I was, like watching how I water and all of that to try to, but it was just the heat. And I saw then on TikTok, I follow this gardener and they garden. And so what they do is they have like these shade netting that they put over it and they just kind of move it along on the top to kind of help give shade or whatever when it's way too hot. So anyways, so there's that. Excuse me. So as we're thinking about the ways in which we can change up things. So this is another thing, like I want to do it with my granddaughters is when you can go and buy secondhand, like and then just redesign it. And there are some great TikTok designers that do stuff like that I've been watching. Or even I want to learn to do that because then you can repurpose something, repurpose it, wear it, give it away as a gift or sell it. And so that part of making something old useful again. And then when I went to Spokane and I didn't get to see it I didn't get to see it, but there's like 3D printing and I wanted to look at that to see what that was about, to get a 3D printer and to create, but that kind of defeats from repurposing something and making it usable again. And so that would be the goal of excuse me, of thrifting. You find the like the energy or the spirit of recreating. So being a creator, being creative, being able to do that, finding the way to do it. Also, what we do, because we're choosing not to purchase, we're choosing to recycle goods by doing this, then we're saving on the environment. And so it shuts down this process of consumerism. And we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of consumerism because our trash piles end up being overly filled with things that are not good for the environment. So microplastic is a real thing. Microplastic is it so small that now they say it's even in our lungs and in our blood. It's in the soil. We all are our bodies are trying to figure out how it's supposed to process microplastics. And so we think about that. What are we doing? And so companies, billionaire class companies, those billionaires, it's cheaper for them to just make plastic than it is to make biodegradable plastic. So there is such a thing, biodegradable plastic, that's good for the environment, but it's cheaper just to make this other kind. And so the billionaire class doesn't even care about the environment. They don't care about any of us. All they care about is making money. And they've kind of done this with water, and we watch it over in Gaza. We watch how they control the water. And there's even a study that came out, or a report that came out, that talks about how Israel is purposely poisoning the groundwater. And the contamination that they put into that groundwater is about birth defects and then cancer. So these are the two things that they are purposely doing to the people in Gaza by poisoning their water system. And so this is just, it just came out. I just read about it anyways this week. And I was like, dang. And so if you think about us here, we have the Oglala Aquifer, and that has become contaminated. Contaminated because our farmers were encouraged to use pesticides and herbicides and that to have better growth. And all of that seeped into our groundwater, and now we have a contaminated, toxic groundwater. So we can't use our groundwater. Supposedly, we can't use that groundwater because it's poisoned. So then they pipe in, right? So now we have to pipe in rural water. Where does that water come from? It comes from the Missouri River. What goes into that water? Well, you have to go back and look at the tributaries. What are the tributaries? So we have the Cheyenne River. What goes into the Cheyenne River? We have the White River. So we know that they're in Nebraska, that they are mining uranium. And we know that uranium is leached into our water. That was the biggest problem in Red Shirt, is that you had those open uranium mines that nobody closed. And sometimes they just put a fence post in it. After they made it, that's how they closed it. People are corrupt, man. There's just horrible things that they've done to save $1, and then we suffer the consequence. And so that got into the river, the White River. And so we know they test it and they find that there's uranium in there. Up in the Cheyenne River, you have the gold mines. I think there's the Belfouche River too, but you have the gold mines that come down, and they're all tributaries. And so then they get into the Cheyenne River, and then they go down to the Missouri River. And the theory kind of like for some people is, well, if you have massive amount of water, it dilutes the toxicity. But if you just have a whole bunch of toxic stuff, eventually it's going to be toxic. Anyway, so that all goes down to Pierre, and then we have a system down there in Pierre where we then filter that water, and then we send it all the way back up here through the pipeline. And so there's a lot of environmental justice that we tolerate. We don't even like raise Cain about it anymore. Like our elders who were our fighters on land issues and water rights, they've all left us. And so now we're just like, okay, so we buy our water. We buy our water now. And who do we buy it from? The billionaires, because the billionaires bought all the safe places where water is. And they bottle it up and they sell it back to us. And some of them just sell us tap water. And we're silly people. We just think, oh, it's in the plastic bottle. It's got to be good. It's in that really cheap plastic bottle too that just crumples. It's got to be better than what's coming out of our tap. But it's probably our tap water and got all the the plastic that leached, the chemicals that leached because the plastic is so low grade. It was cheaper. And then after 20 years of that, we were wondering, like, oh, I don't even know how I got cancer. Or I don't know how I became like that diabetic. I don't even know where all of this, this what is it, autoimmune disease came from. It just came out of nowhere. When we wonder. Mhm. Oh, it's 3 p.m. So it's or 4 p.m. over there in United Kingdom. Oh, awesome. Oh shoot. Anyways, so I encourage you guys, and again, I'm just gonna show you. This is a great find. I got three of these, and they're different colors, and I'm gonna be able to use them. I'm a seasoned person. I like to decorate my house by the seasons, so I can put those away and then get out winter stuff, next. After November, I can put my autumn stuff away and start to put out my winter stuff. And my winter stuff is usually red things and stuff like that. And then my spring, I really like to decorate my house. It's been a bit difficult with my young grandchildren, but they're slowly getting older and I can get back to it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to do that. Anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed today. It was just kind of a random conversation about secondhand shopping. I encourage you to do it if you can. Yard selling, do it if you can. And buy from local business if you can. The other way, like this is something I'm thinking about doing, is doing a little shop here. That's why I've been thinking about it. Thinking about how could I do it? The Oblaya store turned into a secondhand store. I don't shop there. I don't know why, but I should go check it out. But I wanted to be able to maybe bring alternative products so that we don't have to be buying, because a lot of the products that we put in our laundry and things like that isn't good for us either. So try to do something like that. Anyways, but thank you for joining. And I know this is a different kind of Toksa Hour. And I wanted to thank you. Got a lot of feedback from Chaz joining yesterday or last week. People enjoyed the conversation. But yeah, take your grandkids and go secondhand shopping, or take your kids. Like there's a lot of good toys at secondhand stores too, or even at yard sales. You could just save yourself a whole bunch of money by just cleaning something up and reusing. So, all right, you guys, you have a super great day. Thanks for joining. Please don't forget to share, to like, to comment. Yeah, those things help. We're rebuilding. We're in they call rebranding, because we're on YouTube now and we're not over in Facebook land. So we're in YouTube, and so we're in the process of rebranding. It took us 4.5 years to get to, I think we had 10,000 followers. So hopefully it doesn't take that long. And I'm going to, I've been investing a little more time and energy into like thinking about how we can do this and getting. I also asked Jace. I asked Jace if he'll come back on. So hopefully soon we'll have Jace joining us, and Jace Pratt telling us good news from Canada. So all right, you guys, be blessed, and take care of yourselves and take care of